Hey, welcome back to Dogtography. Today we're here at this beautiful tulip farm. It's midday, sun is right overhead. So we're gonna have some fun today doing some full sun photos with Asher here. And we're just gonna see what we can get. I'm gonna use my professional camera and my cell phone, and we're just gonna have some fun. Are you ready to go? Okay, come on, let's go. Hi, I'm Andrea Fleury and welcome to Dogtography. My channel is all about how to take better images of your dog and how to create some really super fun memories. I walk you through different tips and tutorials and techniques. I sometimes show you behind the scenes of my professional career as a dog photographer, all while just trying to have some fun and enjoy time with our dogs. First image here, I really had this vision of wanting to show the rows and rows and rows of tulips. And by the way, I need to say something that's very obvious right up front. It was the end of tulip season here. So these tulips are not looking so hot anymore. And I'm definitely aware of that. These are not, we were location scouting so that hopefully next year, I will get on it much sooner and not leave it until the end of the season. So in this shot, I wanted to show the rows of tulips behind Asher. So what was really important for this image in particular was, you see all this greenage back here, like these green trees? I didn't want there to be anything distracting in the background. We really had to search around for this spot. I wanted to show like all of these rows that are kind of like peeking up through here, but I did not want this, which is the horizon line, to come through Asher's head. So I am standing here with my camera, perhaps a little higher than usual, because usually I am like right down on the ground with my camera. But I lifted it up a little bit because I wanted to show this height, but I'm being very mindful and very particular about where this horizon line is so that it is not cutting through his head and that this background is not distracting. Unlike this. So here's, I mean, not a similar image in terms of showing the rows of tulips, but this background is a no bueno, in my opinion. When I saw this after I took the picture, I was like, what the heck was I thinking? Like, there's a big white ass tent in the background. Like, no, like this doesn't look good at all. The horizon line, I guess you could say, is the top of the flowers here. I guess that's not really bothering me too much, but it's this. Like, when you look at this image, your eyes are always attracted to the lightest part of the image, which is this, like right in the background. So no. With this image as well, my other choice that I made was to try and backlight Asher. So when we arrived at this location, it was like 9:30 in the morning. You would not think that by that time in the morning, it was too bright and the sun was too high, but it certainly was. Oh my God, it was so hot. And the sun was full blasting sun, which means there's no clouds. There's nothing to kind of like diffuse the light and distribute it differently. It is like bright blasting light, but it wasn't quite midday light. So it wasn't like right over top. So I could backlight him a little bit. And you can see in this image here that he is definitely backlit. You can see this glowing halo around him, which indicates that he is backlit. And I was very careful to make sure that the sun didn't spill over onto his nose, which I definitely see a lot of when people are trying to backlight their subject with full sun. Sometimes if it's too high in the sky, it will spill over and then make the nose like too bright and blown out. You want this if you're going to try this technique at all, where the whole front of him is in shadow. And yes, this halo that kind of goes around the outside is probably like blown out, but that is kind of to be expected during these lighting conditions. God, you guys. Oh my God, this picture just cracks me up because this is full sun right here. Look at his dopey, derpy face. Oh my God. But look at the eyes. Like, this is what happens during full sun. So you can tell what's happening here is the sun is facing his face. So he is turned to face the sun and his eyes are getting all squinty. And there's like a super duper shadow like right in here, which looks pretty much like cuts his eyeball in half. This is a horrible look. And this can happen so easily with full sun images. So here's the alternative to this shot. You can tell this shot, Asher is still backlit, or I've backlit him again. So he's got this like halo around the outside of his fur, which means that his back is facing the sun. The sun is like here, like high in the sky over here, but you can tell it's still not so high that his face is being compromised by like midday light. So yes, the background, you know, has some, you know, foliage and stuff, and that's great. I actually love these really like big blown out bokeh tulips. I think it really like counterweights the picture, like from like his presence in this one. I actually really like this like in focus bud over here. I think that this image is a great alternative to this. So here is another lighting scenario that can easily happen in full sun. This is side lit. So this is all side light that's coming in right here on Asher, all of it. You can see that it's blown out the white fur on the side of his nose, but look what's happening on the opposite side. We have an extreme shadow. So midday sun, full sun, whatever, it creates these harsh lighting conditions. So you're going from one extreme, blown out fur, like all of this here is all blown out, to extreme shadow. This is not a good look. You want to avoid this at all costs because it just is like two competing like light temperatures, and it just doesn't look good. So turn your dog, turn them. Okay, how about something like this? So I intentionally took this shot with Asher looking off to the side. So the sun is, yes, it is facing him. It is coming in from this direction, like he is looking into the sun, but it is not causing him to have like blown out side lights on his face. He doesn't have any extreme shadow. There is some shadow going on here in the eyeball, which is what still makes it look a little squinty. He's not squinting, I can tell, but this giant shadow right here and then this contrasting light piece in this blue eye definitely makes it look like the eyelid hood is kind of drooping a little bit. I mean, we're doing the best we can here, right? We can't really get away from the strong shadows and the contrasting parts. It just happens in full sun photography. But I think the turning of his head here is a really great way to get away from that side lit position that we were in over here. Example of like a terrible picture. So the sun is facing Asher here. You can tell by the squint in the eyes. So yeah, he is squinting here, and he's also getting like full shadow over the eyeball, like over his eyeball, all down through his pupil. And then there's like a shadow of even like his eyelashes, like in here through the light part of his eye. This is just a dopey look that makes him look all squinty, and it is just not ideal. What else is not ideal is this horizon line. Like he looks like he's like drowning in these flowers here. So this horizon line like going through the top like this, he just looks like he's sunken down. It looks terrible. I don't like how much sky is up here and this big white tent, this little tiny tree line. Like this just was not the right placement. What was opposite to this style placement is again this. So this was on the opposite side of the tulip field. So I mean, really, like, what would you prefer? Would you prefer this or that in terms of your background? So I mean, the goal here that I'm trying to inspire you to do is to up level the quality of your images, to up level the storytelling, and to be really intentional about the images that you're creating. It is possible. I mean, I didn't have a sweet clue when I arrived to this tulip farm about what I was going to do. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know where the sun was going to be. I didn't know about the layout. I didn't know where we could go. Nothing. But I mean, I went with the goal of photographing my dog, and I wanted to walk away with, yes, maybe not ideally lit images. I mean, if I could have picked the time of day I was there, I would definitely never have picked this time of day. But sometimes you just got to roll with it. So I'm trying to inspire you to like have these tools in your toolbox so that if you arrive at a location like I did and you're like, holy shit, it is mid-daylight, I have to like make something out of nothing, then these are all things that you can draw on. So just to recap a little bit, we're going to try and backlight the subject as much as we can. Watch your horizon lines and what is in the background. Make it as least distracting as possible, and to incorporate the storytelling as much as you can into your image. We have also learned to just avoid full sun altogether, to avoid side light on your subject, which is causing that like extreme shadow on the other side, to watch your horizon lines. Now, here's another horizon line example. This one, I actually really love this bright blue sky. What I was trying to do here with my camera position, and this again was shot very intentionally, is I was trying to show the colors of the other rows of flowers beyond these purple ones. Now, I wanted, as opposed to this one where you can't kind of see much of what is kind of on the other side of him where it keeps going, I'm trying different horizon lines. Now, this one is going right through his head, as you can see here. So this is not ideal. This is not ideal, and this is not ideal where it is like this. What is ideal is this. So this is great. The horizon line here is going through his chest and his shoulders. So it doesn't interfere or impact his head at all. And I will show you this one. This is kind of like borderline. So it's going through his mouth and his neck. It's not great, but what I like about it and what did get achieved in this image is all of this yellow flowers here. So I have a suggestion, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before I went, but I didn't. So hindsight's great stuff. Now I can pass this on to you. I wish I had taken my apple crate with me. I have a wooden apple crate that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace that if I had brought it with me, I could have put it down on the ground and just boosted him up out of these flowers a little bit more. Like, Asher's about a medium-sized dog, so I mean, he is taller than the flower, but some of them he wasn't. Like, there was all kinds of different types of tulips here. So what would have been really nice is to kind of like just give him a little boost. So if you have like a wooden crate or something that your dog can sit on or something you can easily carry around with you, I would hands down recommend that you bring something like that. Okay, and then lastly, I just want to show you some different body positions and some different compositional techniques. So with this image here, what I was trying to do is create leading lines with these flowers. So these rows of yellow tulips are like pointing in towards him. He is centered within the image. I have his head turned to the side so he doesn't have squinty, weird eyes. My camera position is nice and low. It's like in the dirt here, I can tell. And the reason how I know that is because I can't see any more of the background. This is all really nice blue sky, and the blue and the yellow are like contrasting colors. So it's just got this pop. It feels clean. It feels crisp. And I absolutely love the heck out of this image. Here's another image of just kind of like working with where your dog wants to go. So this was a super hot day. Like I said, he was tired by this point, probably needed to drink some water. My assistant is standing like just off to the side. Phoenix is over here, and I know that that is who Asher is looking at, but I love this. He's kind of like crashed into the tulips over here. His paws are out in front of him. Maybe we don't have the like leading lines compositional technique going on anymore, but I still really like this. And I like that he's comfy and he just kind of made his own space. This image here I really like as well. Yes, he's looking into the sun, but I actually don't find his eye to look very squinty. I think that his eye is really open. I can see he's got a catch light up here in his eye, so it is getting some reflection from the sun. The shadow that is in his eyeball is above the pupil, so it is also minimized as well. So I don't feel that that is too bad. These dark shadows in here are not amazing, and I kind of wish I got a little bit more of that eye. But overall, though, I really like the composition of this. I like that he's standing. So pictures of dogs standing are like, you know, rare. We don't get that a lot. It shows his size in comparison to the flowers, which, yeah, as you can see, are not in great shape. But I like it. I love the blue sky. I love the purple, and I've added a little bit of vignette onto here as well. So here are all of my end result images. Looking back on this, I can say that when I sat down to edit these images originally, I was a little hesitant. I didn't know what I was going to think. I actually really love them. I love that they are bright, they are vibrant, they look crisp and clean. All those things that I just love. I got to use a little bit of backlight technique, but my full sun recommendations are definitely position your dog so that you are not getting like full blasting sun on the one side. So that's side light. Try to avoid that. Try to avoid the squinty eye look. Try to avoid that. Bring an apple box to boost your dog up above the flowers. I know that's not a lighting technique, but that's definitely one of my takeaways from this. Watch your horizon lines with flowers and flower fields. Make sure they are not cutting through the dog's head. And to just shoot with intention. Take a helper with you. Have a handler. I have edited these, by the way. I have taken his leash out. As you could see in the video footage, he was on a leash the whole time. If I could do the leash differently as well, I would. I would have brought a longer line so I could have hid the leash down through the flowers instead of trying to edit it out through the bright colored part of the flowers. I would rather have had it traipsing over the ground or it going like straight up behind the dog's head into the sky, because like editing leash out of the flowers is a pain in the booty, let me tell you. But anyway, those are all hindsight. These are all lessons learned. That is why I go out. I love location scouting. I love creating new memories with my dog and challenging myself. I mean, this was like probably the biggest challenge I've had all year, photographically speaking. And it was such a great trip, and I do not regret going. And I actually think that I might kind of love full sun, at least in a beautiful environment like this. So I'm going to talk you through a quick edit here of this backlit image of Asher. This is the raw file, so you can see how dramatic the lighting is here. We have this halo around the dog, but the front part of him is really, really dark. Now, I am very familiar with my camera. I know how much dynamic range my image can handle, so I was comfortable photographing it like this. Okay, first thing I have to do, because it's driving me crazy, is level this. So I'm leveling this horizon line in the background here, and I'm making sure this is straight, because that's what's kind of thrown my eyes off. And I'm using these little boxes to straighten it up. And then I'm just going to bring the picture in a little bit like that and bring his eyes down to this top 2/3 line. And I'm going to center him and just see, I'm going to center his whole body. So I'm looking at this distance here from his like hip to this line and from his ear to this line, and I'm seeing if they're the same. So there we go. I'm going to work with that. So I'm going to bring the highlights down a little bit. I'm going to bring the shadows up. I'm going to bring the whites up and the blacks down just a little bit. He looks blue to me, so that tells me that he needs more warmth because it definitely was warm light that was coming in. He still looks quite dark. I'm going to address that in a minute. I'm going to bump the clarity up to 10 and bump the vibrance up to 10 as well. And now I'm going to come down here to my tone curve and I'm going to make some adjustments here. I don't want to make it overly too bright because that would just be too much. That would be a little crazy. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go into my mask. I'm going to grab a radial gradient filter. I'm quickly talking through this, but I'm just kind of showing you what all I'm doing here. So now I'm bringing up the shadows on him, and then I can show you kind of the before and the after. There is another mask, a new mask in here that you can do as well. I'm going to go select subject, which you can tell now it's put them all in red, so it's selected him. And I'm going to pull the shadows up on there as well. Maybe hit it with a bit of exposure. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. And I do still feel he looks a little blue, so I'm going to hit it here with just a little bit more warmth in the color temperature. And there, that looks good to me. Okay, now all of this down here is like way too bright and distracting. So I'm going to go in with a linear gradient mask. I'm going to pull it up to about the bottom of his tongue like that because I'm trying to get most of this in here. I'm going to go subtract subject so it takes him out of this filter. And now I'm just going to bring down this exposure. So you can see what that is doing here. If I do a little before, after, you can see that it's brought down the brightness, which now leads your eye into Asher. That's what all of this land is here to do. And these leading lines of the tulips are all taking you like down towards him instead of it being distracting. So I'll do another little like before, after. You can kind of see what I'm talking about there. So those are the main edits that I would be doing to this image. I would want to take off this little bit of leash off to the side and maybe just clean up these little bits of grass and stuff here. Thank you so much for joining me today here at the Tulip Farm. Asher, Phoenix and I had a great time just taking photos and trying different things out in the full sun. It's super challenging, not a normal time of the day where I would normally take pictures, but sometimes you just don't have a choice and you got to roll with it. So trying out new things and just seeing what kind of magic we can make together and making some memories along the way. I encourage you to go out and try and see what's in your local area and do the same thing. Just go out and have some fun and make some memories with your dog, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye for now.